Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Oh, he is a Spider Pig.
Don't you just hate that song? Why, y'all look like you seen a ghost. It's me, dear friends. Alive and kicking. Well, alive anyway. We may have lost the war, but heaven knows we haven't lost our sense of humor. No, not even when we lost a lung, a spleen, a bladder, 2 legs, 35 feet of small intestine, and our ability to reproduce, all in the name of the South. Do we ever lose our sense of humor? Now, I owe a deep debt of gratitude to our friends from across the sea for their comfort and kindness. So, mi casa es su casa. Bet comme chez vous. Let the party begin! Mr. Webb. How nice of you to join us tonight and add color to these monochromatic proceedings.
Well, when a fella comes back from the dead, I find that an occasion to stand up, be counted.
Miss East informs me that you were expecting to see General McGrath here. Well, I knew him years ago, but I haven't seen him in a coon's age.
Well, I can see where it'd be difficult for a man of your stature to keep in touch with even half the people you know.
Well, perhaps the lovely Miss East will keep you from being a slave to your disappointment.
Well, you know, beautiful women, they encourage you one minute and cut the legs out from under you the next.
Right. Excuse me, Mr. West. Thank you.
Forget all that. Let's get to the next one.
The Hulk is one of the strongest characters in all of Marvel. His true power is close to limitless, as he'll always become stronger the angrier he gets. And trust me, there's a lot to be angry about in the Marvel Universe, so his rage knows no bounds. But just because the Hulk is nearly unbeatable, it doesn't mean he hasn't been beaten. In fact, there are a good amount of Marvel characters that the Green Rage monster has never been able to defeat. Just who are these characters and why did Hulk lose or continue to lose to them? Well, that's what I want to discuss today, so let's get into it right now. So first up on this list has to be Thanos, aka the Mad Titan, aka Harry Styles' brother. Not just because Thanos has beaten the Hulk a bunch in the comics, but also because he delivered the Hulk his worst beatdown in the MCU. The opening minutes of Infinity War are absolutely savage. Basically, we see everything Thor has worked for since the first movie get taken away from him. The recently crowned King of Asgard sees a lot of his people slaughtered, and his best friend Heimdall and his newly redeemed brother Loki get absolutely wrecked right in front of his eyes. Or I guess it's still just eye at that point. Anyway, this scene really sets the stage for Thanos and shows what a dangerous threat he is. Sure, he can stand there and look menacing all he wants, but we all know actions speak louder than words. That's why what happens next is so frightening. Hulk, who had apparently been hiding and waiting for someone to cue him in, finally gets a chance to fight after Loki says the "we have a Hulk" line. And because of the element of surprise, Hulk looks like he's more than a match for Thanos. But once the Mad Titan is able to take a breath and think, hey, what's this giant green monster that's attacking me, he's able to turn the tides. With relative ease, Thanos delivers a few brutal punches to Hulk in quick succession, proving that he's both fast and strong. Just a few hits to his body and face and Hulk is more dazed than he's ever been. Thor never hurt Hulk like this, neither did Abomination or any other of the big threats like the Chitauri or Ultron's drones. Heck, even when the fire demon Surtur smacked Hulk away, the Hulk was able to shrug this off with relative ease. But not this fight. Thanos totally decimated Hulk in a way no MCU villain has ever done, and on top of that, hurt him so bad that Hulk didn't come out for the rest of the movie. Sure, if you listen to the Russo brothers, the reasoning behind this is because Hulk just didn't want to fight Banner's battles anymore, but come on. Hulk's reluctance totally plays as him being scared after such a quick and horrible beatdown. And yes, while the rest of this list will focus more on comic entries, I wanted to start off with Hulk's worst loss in the MCU. And on top of that, Comic Hulk hasn't had much better luck with Comic Thanos either. Yes, Hulk in the comics is arguably stronger than MCU Hulk, but so is Comic Thanos. Comic Thanos always has some type of artifact or weapon whenever he fights Hulk that makes him win pretty easily. Maybe someday, Hulk. The Silver Surfer is a character who fans desperately want to see done justice in live action. Admittedly, he had an awesome design in the second Fantastic Four movie, Rise of the Silver Surfer, but it's just a shame that the movie around the character was such a dud. And some people might see the Silver Surfer and wonder just what the big deal is, but fans of the comics know just what a complex and tragic character Norrin Radd truly is. He's also incredibly powerful and has delivered the beatdown on Hulk quite a few times in the past. It's mainly because the Silver Surfer has been granted the power cosmic, which is a vast source of limitless cosmic energy by Silver Surfer's go-to master, Galactus. This makes the Sky Rider of the Spaceways almost unbeatable. In the times when he's gone up against the Hulk, sometimes Silver Surfer wins in an incredibly complex way, like the time Silver Surfer removed the gamma radiation around the Hulk, thus temporarily removing the Hulk completely, or, you know, in an incredibly blunt way where he just smacks the Hulk with a surfboard. Either way, during one-on-one fair fights, Hulk has never won before. And yes, there is one exception. During the Planet Hulk storyline, Hulk did just pummel Silver Surfer and technically won, but I count this one with a grain of salt. Silver Surfer was being controlled at the time by a mind-controlling obedience disc, and he wasn't quite himself or operating at his normal level of strength. Plus, Hulk wasn't exactly alone in this fight and had help, which put Silver Surfer at an even greater disadvantage. So if it came down to mano-a-mano fight with both of the characters working at full capacity, then yes, Silver Surfer wins. That's like saying, yeah, I can beat Thor, but only if Thor just fought Hela a few minutes earlier and is wearing one of those shock collars from Sakaar. Doesn't really count as a clean win, right? The list for main characters that we want to see in the MCU continues to dwindle now that we're in Phase 4 of the massive superhero franchise, but still sitting comfortably near the top of that list is Robert Reynolds, aka Sentry. Now, if Sentry is ever introduced in the MCU, he'd basically be like Superman with a dark twist. He's incredibly powerful, with the assumed strength of 1,000,000 exploding suns, and wants to be a good guy. But the downside is that the stronger he gets, the stronger the evil version of himself called the Void gets. It's why in the comics, Sentry and Bruce Banner have formed a unique bond and friendship as their kindred spirits in a way. Both have incredible power that they're afraid to lose control of one day. So yeah, you can imagine the fight between these two Goliaths would get messy, and that's exactly what happened. During the World War Hulk storyline, which saw an angry, vengeful Hulk return to Earth to seek revenge against all those who sent him away in the first place, the Sentry was basically the last line of defense. Hulk was mowing through heroes left and right, and it was up to Sentry to finally stop the unstoppable. The fight was cataclysmic. Both fighters were just unleashing devastating blow after devastating blow. And even though the Hulk was at his strongest, he still couldn't quite definitively beat the Sentry for good. The fight technically ended as a stalemate, as eventually a massive satellite blast reverted both Sentry and Hulk to their human forms, and the fight ended with Banner landing a final punch against Reynolds. So that's technically a win for Banner, not for the Hulk. Sorry, Hulk, you tried your best. Although it looks like Hulk and Thor are relatively evenly matched in terms of strength, that doesn't mean Hulk can just stomp around beating up gods. There's one god in particular that Hulk has never actually beaten, and it's never even been close. Zeus is the top dog for Greek gods, and his power is almost immeasurable. So how did their big confrontation go? Well, after the events of Chaos War, Hulk wanted Zeus to use his power to heal Hulk's family. Hulk thought that it was the least he could do after Hulk's family helped stop the Chaos King, and really, he's not wrong. But his approach could have used a little work. He basically stormed Mount Olympus and demanded that Zeus help him. Hulk was so adamant here that he wasn't going to leave until he got what he wanted. Or so he thought. What happens next is one of the most savage beatdowns the Hulk has ever gotten. First, Zeus hurls lightning at Hulk, but Hulk is all like, hey, what gives? Fight me like a man. And Zeus agrees to hand-to-hand combat. If you think this evens the playing field, it doesn't. Hulk lands one punch, but then Zeus absolutely destroys Hulk with a series of devastating blows. The worst of which is the one where Zeus punches Hulk's ribs and Hulk pukes out most of his bloody insides. Yeah, it's not pleasant. And that's not even the worst part. You would think Zeus would be satisfied with completely completely embarrassing the Hulk here, but the Greek god takes it one step farther by tying Hulk's body to a rock and letting vultures eat him just slowly enough so the Hulk's healing factor stops him from perishing. This is why I want a character like Zeus in the MCU. Not only would it be an excellent foil for Thor, but you could recreate a version of this battle and it would be incredible. Well, maybe it would be a little sad to see Hulk puke his guts out literally, but you never know. Maybe an MCU fight would go differently. Yeah, I know, this video is about Marvel characters who the Hulk has never beaten, but I want to talk about the Hulk versus Batman for a second. I promise, this is just a slight detour, and we'll get back to your regularly scheduled Marvel programming in just a second. But again, it's Hulk versus Batman. How could I not talk about that? And yes, this actually happened once. Every so often, there's a Marvel and DC crossover that pits the two worlds against each other, and this particular issue saw Hulk and Batman come to blows. What's interesting about this fight is that it's the ultimate brute strength versus tactical advantage type of brawl. There's no way in a million years that Batman could ever beat Hulk in a fist fight, and more likely than not, Hulk will never outthink or outmaneuver Batman. So what wins out here? Well, let's discuss. The issue sees Bruce Banner working for Wayne Research and developing a gamma gun that's designed to cure disease. Of course, the dastardly Joker shows up and ruins everything, causing Banner to transform into Hulk. Then the Joker convinces Hulk that Batman is the true enemy and the two start fighting. Of course, Batman can't overpower Hulk here, so he tries to use knockout gas against the Rage Monster. Now, because this is an 80s comic, it's just a tad bit silly. Hulk laughs at this knockout gas plan and just holds his breath to avoid breathing it in. Batman counters this by putting all his energy into one single full power kick right into Hulk's solar plexus, which causes Hulk to breathe in the gas and then faint. Would the same thing happen in modern times? Probably not, but it still counts as Batman 1, Hulk 0. And I like the idea of someone being clever enough to beat the Hulk. It gives me hope that someone like Hawkeye in the actual Marvel Universe has a chance. If you ask fans to name two heroes that they want to see fight on screen, one of the top choices would definitely be Hulk versus Wolverine. There's such a rich, deep history between the two of them in the comics, with their fights being some of the most savage, brutal, and awesome brawls in all of Marvel. I want this mostly because it's such an interesting matchup. I mean, you have the rampaging, unstoppable beast that is the Hulk fighting the indestructible mutant, and that just always makes for a good time. And while yes, Hulk has definitely beaten Wolverine a few times, he hasn't beaten every version of Wolverine. Let me explain. The Old Man Logan timeline is an alternate version where the supervillains have overthrown the superheroes. In this universe, there's a fight between Hulk and Old Man Logan, and that's one for the record books. This version of the Hulk is evil and insane, and the fight is just as savage as you'd expect. It seemingly ends with Hulk literally devouring Old Man Logan, leaving nothing left. After getting eaten, Old Man Logan's healing factor allows for the character to regenerate inside the Hulk, and when he's fully healed, Logan literally bursts out of him to take the W. On second thought, maybe I don't want to see a version of this fight in the MCU. That's a lot of green guts that I'm not sure I can handle. I said earlier that Sentry is sorta like Marvel's version of Superman because of his immense strength and general style, but there's actually another who probably fits that mold better, and that's Hyperion. There are a few different versions of Hyperion running around in alternate timelines in different series, some of which are heroes and some of which are villains. But the general gist still remains the same. He was created to basically be a version of Superman in the Marvel comics. Now, the Hulk and Hyperion have fought a few times, and Hulk has won at least once, but that was a different version of Hyperion. The character I am specifically talking about in this entry has delivered multiple defeats to the Hulk all in the same fight. Let me explain. In the recent comic storyline Heroes Reborn, it follows a different universe where, for some mysterious reason, the Avengers never formed and the Squadron Supreme are the main superhero team on Earth. Though as characters like the Hulk start realizing the world isn't right and something is wrong, Hyperion has to make the tough choice to take Hulk down. It's a pretty even fight, but then Hyperion has no choice but to use his laser vision and fry Hulk's brains. And here's the really tragic part. Thanks to the Hulk's healing factor, the green rage monster keeps coming back to life, so Hyperion has to laser Hulk's brain over 20 times until finally it can't heal anymore. Oh wait, no, this is the really tragic part. As Hulk's brain turns into pudding, his last words are him calling out to Steve Rogers for help because he doesn't understand what's happening. Yeah, as I said, brutal. Hey, what you have to remember is that in comics, there are oftentimes a ton of misunderstandings or lack of communication that leads to fights. I mean, it happens in superhero movies as well. I think Batman v Superman and even Captain America Civil War could have been avoided if all the characters just sat around one Saturday night, ordered a bunch of pizza, and hashed out their differences instead of punching each other in the face. Anyway, I mention this because a misunderstanding is what led to Hulk getting owned by the mutant Havoc. In one comic storyline, Hulk is just rambling along when suddenly he spots the mutant known as Polaris. Now, the green hair that Polaris has throws Hulk off, and he thinks Polaris is actually Jarilla, the princess of a subatomic kingdom that Hulk had a previous relationship with. He kidnaps Polaris, and that invokes the wrath of Havoc, who goes on to rescue his fellow mutant. The showdown is pretty epic. The Hulk rips out a huge piece of rock to smack Havoc down, but before Hulk can do anything, Havoc shoots a focused beam of energy right at Hulk's head. It's so powerful that Hulk doesn't know what hit him. His energy quickly drains and he collapses, reverting back to his banner form. Then, hilariously, Havoc and Polaris just sort of leave without giving the Hulk another thought. The Marvel Universe is so big that it's often fun to mix and match with different heroes and villains. Like, you think comic writers ever go, hey, superhero X has never faced supervillain Y, so let's find a way to make that happen. I mean, I would. This is why I like talking about the time Hulk fought Carnage, because that's a fun matchup. Well, at least fun for us. Probably not fun for the Hulk. In their encounter during the Absolute Carnage storyline, things got a little wild. Not only was Carnage possessed by one of Null's Grendel symbiotes in a way that made him even stronger as Dark Carnage, but also the fight saw Hulk being possessed by the Venom symbiote. The end result isn't pretty, as Dark Carnage whooped Venom Hulk's butt and stole the Venom symbiote for himself. Yeah, not pretty, and you have to wonder if Hulk wasn't possessed by the Venom symbiote, would he have had a better chance? Probably not. A few different characters have been Ghost Rider in the past, and while Hulk has fought and dispatched the Robbie Reyes version relatively easily, the Johnny Cage version is not one the Hulk has been able to beat. This was most apparent in the World War Hulk storyline, when Ghost Rider stood in Hulk's path. The angry, rampaging Hulk couldn't overpower or beat Ghost Rider, but that doesn't necessarily mean a clear victory for Flaming Skullhead. The demon inside Ghost Rider actually judged Hulk innocent during this event, and this fight, leading to Ghost Rider straight up abandoning the fight without a clear-cut victor. But I mean, if Hulk wasn't able to win on strength and only secured the victory because Ghost Rider's heart wasn't in it, then I think that counts as a Hulk defeat. It's also fun to think about what other Marvel characters that the Hulk could probably never beat in a fight, but still try. Like, I would love to see the MCU's Hulk try to punch a Celestial in the face, wouldn't you? Imagine Galactus coming for Earth, only to be intercepted by a bright green angry speck who packs one heck of a punch.
Thanks for calling the cover up insurance. This is Jerome. How can I help you?
Yeah, I would like to make a claim on my homeowner's insurance.
Damn, for real? What happened?
Basically, a plumber came in, beat my ass, and set my house on fire.
Oh, shit, that's crazy, bro. But we won't cover that.
What the fuck you mean you don't cover it?
We don't cover house fires from plumbers.
What the fuck you mean you don't cover house fires from plumbers? What if my house was set on fire?
Yeah, if your house was just set on fire, that'd be one thing, but it was set on fire by a plumber. So for that kind of fire, we do not cover that shit, sir. I'm sorry.
What kind of specific ass dumbass shit is that, bro? My house was set on fucking fire. Why does it matter if it was set on fire by a fucking plumber?
Because we don't cover that shit, sir. We do not cover that shit.
What the fuck? Alright, fuck it. My house was just set on fire. No plumber. No plumber.
Bro, you just told me you had a fucking plumber set your house on fire.
Bro, he was dressed like a plumber. I don't fucking know.
It was 4 seconds ago. You can't fucking backtrack in the middle of the fucking conversation, bro. Come on.
Bro, I'm gonna just hang up and call back a lie.
How the fuck you gonna tell me you gonna call back a lie, bro? We not, bro. I'm not covering that shit. I'm the only motherfucker working here anyway, so you gonna get me again, bro. So I'm gonna tell you right now, we not
fuck
covering.
you. I know I shouldn't have fucking signed up with y'all bitch ass.
Fuck you too. Is there anything else I can help with your bitch ass today? All right, so after the phone call, if you can just take this brief survey about your service and fucking leave a
Motherfucker, no, I ain't doing that shit. What the fuck?
Hey, Daddy.
Oh, fuck no, bitch, you gotta go.
Hey, come over here and smash, bro.
Bitch, no. And who the fuck tied you up?
I did. We got unfinished business. Now come over here and put it in.
Bitch, me and you is over. You got your crazy ass dude coming over here burning down my house. Are you out your fucking mind?
You knew what it was when we got together. Now let me get that notorious DIC.
What the fuck is a DIC?
It?
Bitch, no, it's not. That's not how you spell it. You know how to spell?
Who cares, bro? I do not have to know
Bitch, get your dumb ass up out of here.
Hey, where you going? Come fuck! What are you doing? At least get me down!
Bitch, my big ass ain't getting up there to get you down. You got yourself up there to get your ass down. Use that dumb ass dress as a parachute.
It's me, Mario, motherfucker.
Oh,
You
shit.
would've thought you was gonna take my bitch again,
Bro,
but I have to
listen,
see these
I
hands. Now
don't
you gotta
want her,
get your
bro.
ass rebeat.
Look, I don't want her. You can have her. I did, but you look. Bro,
You sound like a bitch, Bowser.
Bro, look, I'm coming to you as a man, bro. Like,
Man, you're a turtle sword.
Hey, can you tell this motherfucker what's going on?
Nope, should've threw me the dick when you had a chance.
Bro, just take her and leave. I don't want no smoke, bro.
Bro, you got smoke, bro. I got a fire flower. I'm about to set everything on motherfucking fire. I'm gonna take this mushroom and I'm gonna tear this whole motherfucking house down. Because when I take mushrooms, I get big as fuck for some reason. I don't know, I think it's the gas. But you have officially fucked up.
Hey people, I see you smiling, but did you actually hit that like button though? Well, if you want to check out the next part, you're gonna have to go to my boy Ace Vane's page for that. He got some other funny shit on there too. So yeah, go check it out.
Kicking off the list at number 10, Grey Hulk. One of the more badass versions of the Hulk was also the earliest. See, originally Stan Lee wanted the Hulk to be gray, but ink problems made him green. The Incredible Hulk made his first smashing appearance in 1962 when a teenager, Rick Jones, was about to be caught up in a gamma bomb test. Scientist Bruce Banner ran out and threw him to safety, but in doing so, he himself was caught in said explosion, and in turn, he was irradiated with radioactive particles, becoming the Grey Hulk. Our green guy, the main 616 Hulk, is referred to as the Savage Hulk, and Grey Hulk is said to be weaker. They made him an entirely different version in the comics to help explain the color change. They were both fighting to control Bruce. Things get spicy during Peter David's run when we meet Joe Fixit, this mobster Grey Hulk working at a casino. Imagine this guy asking you for your ID. I would bring 5 pieces and a passport, just to be safe. So intimidating. And his hat too, like he looks friendly, but he also looks like when he shakes your hand, he's gonna break all your knuckles. Number 9, Skulk. Coming to life in Doctor Strange Fate issue 1 back in 1996, Marvel's Bruce Banner combined with DC's Solomon Grundy. How fun. Another gray version, but a little more out there this time around. Solomon appeared right before Bruce Banner was caught in that gamma bomb explosion. So now the two ended up fusing together, creating Skulk. Skulk was taught by Doctor Strange Fate that in order to remain in human form, you need the assistance of magic. Black Widow's palm dances will not work in this universe, my friend. So Banner was like, alright, I'll work for you, just make sure I don't become that awful pale monster. Deal? Deal. Great, awesome. Skulk's last comic was in Lobo the Duck, issue 1 just a year later. He died in the destruction caused by the Gold Kidney Lady. Yes, you heard me correctly. And before we list off some other fun versions of the Hulk, if you want to Skulk smash that like button, that would be lovely. Those clicks really do help us out a lot here. You all rock. Now let's keep this list going. Number 8, Peter Parker. Looking now to the 2006 bullet point storyline, if you haven't already guessed from the title, this one's a superhero swap. We love those. Now this is a life where Uncle Ben, well, still died, but he died a lot earlier, so unfortunately he wasn't around to mentor Peter. Give him the whole with great power comes great responsibility rundown. So now Peter's stealing Jeeps, he's blasting Green Day and flipping off the elderly, just the complete opposite guy that we know and love. During the Jeep joyride, it ran out of gas, so Sneaky Pete went off to look for some more to help fill up. Now while he was searching, that's when he just happened to stumble across that gamma bomb test, and he didn't realize that he had this Hulk side to him until later on that night. His friends got in trouble, so they blamed Peter, and that's when he got really angry, and then he turned into the Hulk for the first time. It was nuts. Aunt May straight up had a heart attack. More than fair. After this point, retired Steve Rogers came back, suited up as Iron Man, and then began hunting him down. This universe is crazy. Peter Hulk killed Steve Rogers, and he didn't go down until Galactus arrived on Earth. Not a bad run. Number 7, 9939 She-Hulk. Sounds like a hotline, it's not. So this Earth 9939 is this alternate version of our common 616 Earth. So Baron Strucker, the 5th, came from Earth 8410, stay with me here, came from the future into the past of Earth 616 and killed most of our heroes that we know. Wah, wah. See, most of our heroes, but not all of them. Jennifer Walters was one of the survivors, and now she lives in this dystopian tech future, even engaging in a relationship with Rhino. You know, Rhino, like Paul Giamatti. Remember Paul Giamatti as Rhino? I mean, the guy's great, never phones it in. Fred Claus, let's go. So, they go back in time to defeat Charnel, to prevent the dark future that they came from. And sure, she died in the final battle, but I think she pulled off enough of her own weight here. Like, Kinda crushed it, Jen Waltz. Kinda crushed it. Number 6, Infernal Hulk. First appearing in Deadpool Annual 1, this version picks up after Bruce Banner became the Sorcerer Supreme, and his first trick was to separate the Hulk from himself and just banish him as far away as possible. And what better place to throw him than the pits of hell? While in the land down under, Hulk became Infernal Hulk. A little more scary looking than Joe Fix-It, just a little bit. So when our 616 banner arrived to this universe with Spider-Man, Infernal Hulk traded places in hell with the other Bruce's Hulk persona. So now that Infernal Hulk is free and he's going back after Banner. He's pissed. So Deadpool, Spidey, and Supreme Banner, they all figured, okay, let's just reverse this banishing spell, and then as soon as Banner shows back up, we break his neck. Alright, go team, let's do it.
Number 5, Ruins. In the Ruins reality of Earth 9591, the Hulk isn't quite as fantastical or as fabulous as our 616 version of the characters. So fabulous. Runes is a series that allows us to get a glimpse of an alternate reality where superpowers are more like curses or death sentences, more realistic to how things might actually go for those who received them in the real world, like the Hulk. Here, Bruce Banner does rush onto the Gamma Bomb test site in an attempt to protect Rick Jones, who wandered onto the testing grounds. However, he doesn't gain a giant, super strong and all green persona as a result. Instead, he becomes riddled with multiplying green tumors, which ultimately tear him apart from the inside out, mutating him into something much more horrific to behold. It's both weird and terrifying.
Number 4, Compound Hulk. First appearing in Hulk Volume 2, Issue 30, Clue is a smarter version of that Grey Hulk that I mentioned earlier in this list. He's an advanced clone, rather, created by Xemnu. Now, Clue was the result of a cloning gone wrong, classic, and then when Clue and Xemnu were fighting Red Hulk, Impossible Man came in, he was watching the whole thing, and he used his powers to merge both of those guys into the Compound Clue. He didn't last long at all, but anytime the words merge and Hulk are in play, it's bound to get weird. Number 3, Spider-Gwen She-Hulk. This is a fun one. Okay, I would straight up watch countless hours of this one. So Jennifer Walters doesn't have Hulk powers in this one, right? But I had to include her in this specific list because she's a regular human and she kills it. She's a regular person. She paints herself green because she wants to. So on this Earth 65, starting in issue 7 of Spider-Gwen Volume 2, Jen Walters was actually a pro wrestler. Yeah, and if that wasn't already intimidating enough, she ended up becoming Gwen Stacy's defense attorney. This show would be epic. I really hope we get something similar for her Disney Plus show. Just painting herself green, getting hyped up. Maybe she grew up watching the Avengers on the news, gets herself all amped up, slams people through some tables, go to court, shake some hands. That's a warrior right there, people. I need to see this. Debit. I'm buying this movie. Number 2, Lizard Hulk. Still green this time around, just a little more wet and scaly. He comes from Earth 19919. Robert Banner, of course, has a similar origin as the Hulk that we're now familiar with, only he was infected by the spider virus in Spider Island issue 1. So a little more this time around. Now he's got extra arms and he's even more powerful. Just what you want. The Spider Queen at this point is standing tall over Manhattan with the residents of New York City turning into spiders, which I gotta say, worst thing I've ever heard. I feel itchy just reading that. And as for our heroes, it's probably best if they switch to a different animal's DNA to avoid the whole mind control Spider Queen awful situation. So Captain America gets a hairy upgrade and the Hulk gets paired with some lizard DNA, resulting in a weird but exciting storyline. Major Godzilla vibes over here. And finally, number 1, you guessed it, Old Man Logan. Remember that time that the Hulk was a landlord and had Hulklings with his cousin Jen Walters? Let's talk about it. Old Man Logan is an absolute masterpiece, first of all. Created by Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, we get to see a dark future where supervillains have taken over the United States. Bruce Banner ended up taking over California from Abomination and appropriately named it Hulkland. An atomic bomb over California changed Bruce up, he charged him, and now he wasn't this quirky scientist that you know and love. Now he's kind of a dick. Hulk Gang is also a treat. We have in total Bobby Joe, Charlie, Otis, Rufus, Bo, Elrod, Eustace, and of course Woody. Good old Woody Banner, what a gem. They come knocking on your door when you don't pay rent. Yeah, and you thought your landlord sucked. Think again. They're honestly evil, like they're literally evil. They killed Logan's family because they felt like it. They were bored. They whip around in style with the fantastic car, and then when Logan returned from his road trip with Hawkeye, well, he was a little upset to say the least. The only survivor once Logan was done with them was Billy Bob Banner.
Number 10, Claw. Claw is actually an alternate persona of the Hulk that resides within the character in the reality of Earth 616. So not an alternate in terms of being from another world or reality, but still an alternate in terms of him being a very different version of the character than what we're used to seeing. Claw even looks very different to the Hulk. When it comes to the heroic version we're used to seeing and reading in the comics, Claw couldn't be more different. He is basically the polar opposite, being malicious, vicious, and evil-minded in nature and behavior. And if you're like, well, the Hulk is he can be pretty bad sometimes. He's like got a heart of gold though, the Hulk. The Hulk's lovely. Number 9, Age of Apocalypse. In the reality of Earth 295, aka Age of Apocalypse, Bruce Banner never saved Rick Jones from the Gamma Bomb test in order to become the Hulk. Instead, he became the Thing as a result of experimenting on himself after Apocalypse had conquered the Earth. Banner with General Thaddeus Ross was part of humanity's last stand. He would end up betraying the Human High Council and pledge his loyalty to McHale in exchange for test subjects. Banner would then discover how to transform into the giant grey super strong beast known as the Thing, and would eventually kind of flip sides once more to protect the humans from a gamma bomb that he himself had designed. Following this, he would become green and end up as Apocalypse's captive. And friends, before we move on to the next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it, be sure to show us by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Starman. Starman is an alternate version of the Hulk who comes to us from the Marvel What If story from issue 91 of the second series. In this story, we get to see a version of the Hulk where it is the alternate monstrous persona known here as Starman that is actually the kind, gentle, heroic side of this character. And Bruce Banner himself, who is actually the true monster. He's the not so good side of the character, the villain side. Bruce Banner here is a colonel who's obsessed with his job developing weapons for the military. A lot of the rage that he lives with ends up being taken out on his wife and his romantic partner, Betty Ross, to the point that she tries to in fact get out of the relationship, talking to her father about it, but her father basically dismisses her pleas. In the end, Starman is unable to help Betty, who is committed to a mental health facility by Doc Samson after Colonel Banner threatens him. Doc Samson was actually gonna try to help Betty, but it didn't work out. It's such a sad, awful story, but such a strange version of the Hulk as well. Starman.
Number 7, Ultimate Hulk. This version of Bruce is quite troubled. He was taught to just stay out of his parents' way growing up, and he also hated himself pretty much. He wanted to be ripped like Captain America, he didn't like his noodle arms. It was a rough go for him in the Ultimate Universe. So when Nick Fury got together the brightest minds to recreate the super soldier serum, Envious Banner was on that team. He did figure it out, or so he thought, but he kept the info to himself. He didn't want any other scientist getting credit. But he took it a little bit too far when he also decided to keep the human testing process to himself as well. He injected himself and became Ultimate Hulk. The first time he changed, he injured Mary and Richard Parker, but down the road he injected himself again, but this time he mixed Super Soldier Serum with Hulk Serum, and then he turned gray, and his first plan of attack was, of course, as you would think, to fight Freddie Prinze Jr. Yeah.
Number 6, Breaker Apart. Also known as the Breaker of Worlds, this is a version of the Hulk belonging to an alternate future that doesn't yet have an official number, but was given the temporary reality number of Earth 781 for now. So we'll just have that number here because you never know, it could become official. He makes his first appearance in the Immortal Hulk series in issue 20, but wouldn't be given the name Breaker Apart until issue 25. In this alternate future, Hulk ends up surviving until the end of the universe due to his immortality. He ends up being possessed, however, by the One Below All and killing some of his universe's most powerful beings, including Galactus and Franklin Richards. Breaker Apart later garners the attention of the sentience of the universe, who looks to merge with him in order to create the beginning of a new universe or cosmos. This is probably also one of the most powerful alternate versions of the Hulk because he basically becomes like Galactus. Evil Galactus? Galactus already is pretty evil, I guess. Galactus to me is neutral. He's just hungry. He's cool.
Number 5, House of M. She-Hulk. So on Earth 58163, Wanda Maximoff gives birth to 2 twins. Vision's at her side, all is great, happy family, except all is not great. She's actually in a dark room on Genosha. Professor X and her father Magneto discussing how she is too powerful and this simply isn't enough. It's all in her head. So this House of M event is not a great time. You know, Jennifer Walters, while all this is going down, specifically in House of M issue 5, was a successful lawyer working alongside Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock. Luckily, she was one of the heroes who got their memory returned and was responsible for helping set the world back to a better state. Also, side note, I'm gonna call it now. This is gonna be the main plot of WandaVision, or at least part of it. She-Hulk being announced after WandaVision, seeing the alternate realities with Wanda and Vision, I'm on to you guys. I have some ideas.
Number 4, 1,000 Hulks. What if there wasn't just one Hulk, but multiple Hulks? Hundreds of Hulks, if you will. That is a reality we explore in the alternate reality belonging to issue 71 of the second volume of What If. In that issue, we get to explore a world where gamma bombs end up being dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and transforms hundreds of people. This actually gives the people of Japan a powerful army of Hulks, which allows them to conquer the US and rule over them for years. While one Hulk is already pretty strange, living in a reality where there are multiple Hulks who created a Hulk army seems even more bizarre by comparison.
Number 3, Venom Hulk. Venom Hulk is as terrifying as you think. It all goes down in What If issue 4. It shows us what would happen if the alien costume had possessed Spider-Man. So if the Fantastic Four hadn't been able to separate Peter and the suit initially. It's a fun little alternative. It gets pretty ugly quickly, and the other Avengers are called upon to try and stop Peter from causing more irreversible damage. Doctor Strange is hurling spells at him for hours, still it's no use. And you'd think when the Hulk came along, he could just, huck Peter into a few walls until he calms down. But he arrives, and the symbiote sees his power, and he's like, that looks pretty good, I want that, gimme. And then when it comes into contact with the Hulk, this nightmare is born. When Thor comes in to hopefully try and end this disaster of a situation, he too is consumed by the symbiote. I really hope we get to see some sort of evil version of the Hulk in this What If Disney show. I mean, Venom Hulk would be amazing. I would love to see this issue on TV. Might be a little long shot, but maybe Grey Hulk, perhaps. I don't know. Some sort of evil Hulk is coming, I feel it.
Number 2, Groovy Hulk. Groovy Hulk is the nickname for the alternate version of the Hulk that we get from the original What If series. In issue 12 of the series, we get to discover what the world would be like had Rick Jones become the Hulk instead of Bruce Banner. With Rick Jones throwing Banner into the trench at the last second instead of the other way around, taking the full brunt of the gamma radiation himself. Oh no, Rick Jones! Rick's version of the Hulk had a notably cooler way of speaking, being heavily influenced by the groovy slang of the 60s. I suppose because Rick was a young and hip teenager, so that's how he talks instead of the other way that the Hulk talks. And that's not even the weirdest part about this whole story. It also comes with a convenient ending where Bruce Banner finds a way to fix Rick, causing him and the Hulk to split. Hulk is stuck in the negative zone but finds happiness and a girlfriend randomly there, becoming their champion, while Captain Marvel is also affected by Banner's cure for Rick, being tied to him as well. The treatment also happens to cure Marvel's cancer. Gotta love a weird, cure-all, happy ending. Number 1, the Hulk dogs. What is weirder than 1,000 Hulks? How about a few doggo Hulks? That's right, I did not forget about 2003 Hulk. In that film, there were 3 dog versions of the Hulk, each dog a member of a different breed, that were made by David Banner, Bruce's father. One of them is a poodle. Just remember that. David planned to use the dogs to track down and kill Betty Ross. This of course put them into direct conflict with the Hulk himself, who is forced to fight all 3 dogs, who honestly kinda almost succeed in defeating him at one point and getting to Betty. Of course, in the end, Hulk saves Betty and ends up winning. I'm just thinking of how Betty's like, what do I do? Do I go? Do I stay? There's so many shots of her just in the car like, the dogs are still here. It kills me. Okay, anyways. Oh, 2003 Hulk. Of course, in the end, Hulk saves Betty and ends up winning out against all 3 Hulk doggos. Poor Hulk dogs. They didn't deserve that.
Number 10, Zombie She-Hulk. First appearing in Marvel Zombies Dead Days issue number 1 in 2007, this is arguably one of the most fun versions of Jennifer Walters, depending on how you classify fun. This story takes place on Earth 2149 after a zombie plague, which you may have probably guessed by now. This comic is super dark and gory. It's kind of awesome too. Even before She-Hulk comes in, it's traumatizing. When Jennifer arrived at the Avengers mansion, she was a little shocked to see the current condition of the Avengers, being crazy zombies and all. It wasn't long at all before she herself was zombified, and after that point, Ooh, look out, Buster. She then went on to kill Franklin Richards and his sister Valeria. So you can imagine the look on the Fantastic Four's face when they returned. They weren't too pleased. Specifically Susan Storm, who blew up Jennifer's head with a force field. Ew. Number 9, Future Imperfect She-Hulk. Taking place in the Future Imperfect storyline, of course, this version of She-Hulk is a bit strange. See, here she's referred to as Shulk, which I like better than She-Hulk. Has a better ring to it. Shulk. Kinda sounds like when you drop a wet bathing suit. Shulk. So specific, but there you go. So in this issue, we have the Abomination, the Hulk, and the She-Hulk. And after a nuclear fallout, they're much more powerful. See, the Hulk ended up becoming Maestro. I did a list about Hulks as well, so if you like this one, go check out Maestro and other crazy versions of the Hulk over there. Shulk, on the other hand, doesn't have hands, rather, she has talons. So Emil and Shulk tried to take down the Maestro, but of course failed, because, I mean, look at him. So Shulk ended up becoming locked away in a sarcophagus for 7 years. 7 years! So in that time, Emil took over Castle Maestro after Maestro's disappearance. And then he put She-Hulk in his bedroom where he planned to make him his wife. Okay, weirdo? So she woke up, saw Emil touching her hair, and she's like, okay, weirdo, stop. So she knocked him out nice and quick, and then learned that Betty 6 was pregos with Maestro's child. So she went into the past with Caspin with a plan to kill the woman and to end Maestro's family line. Okay, so she and Caspin ran into Cyberslick, and they tell the two where the woman is. So Shulk shows up, beats the hell out of Abomination, easy, and right as she's about to kill Betty 6, boom, Caspin kills her with his mental powers. What a ride. If you want to see this for yourself, check out Abomination's number 1. Number 8, Earth 1610. The Ultimate Universe. Jennifer Walters, or no, Betty Ross. That's right, Betty Ross is playing the not-so-jolly Green Giant on Earth 1610. Making her first appearance in Ultimates issue 3, the daughter of General Ross was roommates with Janet Van Dyne in college. So Janet started seeing Hank Pym, who we don't really like, and she started dating Bruce Banner. So a couple of things happened with Bruce as he was trying to crack the super soldier serum, and he ended up becoming the Hulk, as we all should know by now. So as she watched the Hulk rip people apart, she actually grew to like him even more. It's like, strong man. I like the way you rip their spinal cords out. Let's go for a coffee. Now, Bruce had actually been out on trial and been given the death sentence, being, the Hulk and all. And she was devastated. So Jennifer Walters, like the Jennifer Walters, had cracked the code on the serum at this point. Betty Ross lied to Fury and said that Jennifer Walters was planning on selling the serum. Survey says that was also a lie. She was actually just pirating the new Star Trek early. And have you seen the new Star Treks, honestly? I did it too. They're pretty good, they're great. So not quite as bad as we thought, right? I mean, Betty injected the serum right before jumping out of a shield jet and landed on the ground saying, "What up, y'all? I'm Plan B." Pretty cool entry, if you ask me. I don't know if she said y'all, but she should have. Betty fought Wolverine and actually managed to gouge his eye out. Wolverine, being Wolverine, still ended up winning the battle and forcing Betty to wear a collar that will choke her to death if she becomes Shulk again.
Number 7, Hulkbot 3000. The Hulkbot 3000 was kind of a roundabout invention of Tony Stark's. He created the builder bot group known as the Smiths, which in turn made Hulkbot. Hulkbot 3000 was actually created to test a crown that could alter a person's behavior, which was actually created in the hopes of curing Tony's alcoholism. True story. Though he claimed the crown was being developed in order to help with the Hulk's often raging personality. What's really odd about Hulkbot though, other than the creation's purpose for existing, is that Hulkbot 3000 is only one of the many different robot versions of the Hulk to exist in the comics, and even in the 616 universe. Like, there have been a lot of Robo-Hulks. I could probably do a top 10 list on robot Hulks.
Number 6, Hydra She-Hulk. Okay, this is a fun one. So Jennifer Walters of Earth 9997 ends up being infected by Hydra creatures that were created by Norman Osborn. I mean, look at these things. Imagine waking up to that. Well, she didn't. Yeah, like many others, when she was infected, her soul ended up in the realm of the dead. Her body, on the other hand, became the host of Queen Hydra. I feel like I'm a good vessel too. I mean, these lanky arms are kind of like tentacles. They're not as slippery though, Maybe when I'm jogging, they get a little bit wet. I feel like she's slippery. I don't know, that's what I'm trying to say. So, after the new and improved Queen Hydra led the other Hydras, they dominated S.H.I.E.L.D. And then they eventually moved to New York, the city that never sleeps, because, there's Monsters everywhere, all the time. She-Hulk's soul remained in the realm of the dead until she was recruited by Mar-Vell on a quest to kill death. You heard me. Number 5, Hulk 2099. John Eisenhart this time around made his first appearance in 2099 Unlimited issue 1 back in 1993. This is the future, of course, one of many alternate Marvel futures where heroes are simply no more. But fear not, as we still have cults. Thank God, you gotta have those cults. One cult called the Knights of Banner was piquing the interest of Eisenhart, but at this point, he was this LA movie studio guy and he wanted to make a movie about these knights or this Hulk cult or whatever. They're pretty much us in the future. They worship the Hulk, they have meetings, they talk about him, they probably create top 10 lists, I don't know. But when they turned down the money and said beat it, Eisenhart wasn't happy. So he tricked one of the young members, Gawain, into spilling the beans about the cult and how they're performing illegal gamma experiments. Gawain is actually a reference to Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, an Arthurian story that combined the beheading game and the exchange of winnings. And that's exactly what happened here. John reported this cult and its new secrets, and the police raided and killed everybody, all but Gawain. So John tried to fix what he'd caused, but it was far too late. After a gamma bomb went off, he was turned into the 2099 Hulk. Consumed now with guilt as well, he vowed to protect the young knight, and when Draco killed Gawain, spoilers, he figured he would just defend the people from future threats. Number 4, Earth A She-Hulk. Also known as Earth 721, Earth A was home to another Jennifer Walters, of course. This version didn't have superpowers like our 616 Earth does. So she decided it would be a fun little vacation to take Albert E. DeVore's technology and travel to another universe to get the same superpowers as that Jennifer Walters. So, while on the other Earth, Jennifer fought Rhino and even had an affair with the Juggernaut. Okay, making your rounds, I get it. Not exactly my ideal vacation, but I'm not knocking it. So, of course, being another Jennifer Walters, she was caught. Then they had this plan that the depowered Jennifer Walters would go to her Earth 721, while the new powered multiverse Jennifer from Earth 721 would stay on Earth 16. How do you like them numbers? So it's a little swap, a fun little swappy swap. However, during the trans-dimensional transfer, Reed Richards was able to return her powers back to her. Nice. So they both ended up staying in their appropriate universes. How lovely.
Number 3, Orange Hulk. Maybe one of the most random alternates out there. Orange Hulk hails from the reality of Age of Apocalypse. Unlike the other version we talked about way earlier on this list, Orange Hulk has no attachment to Bruce Banner, and as a matter of fact, we don't actually know who he really is under all that orange and all that Hulk. What we do know is that Orange Hulk is solar powered, gaining strength from the sun, and is in fact implied to be stronger during daylight hours because of this. Orange Hulk serves on Weapon Omega's Black Legion team, and honestly, every time I see him, he makes me want some Sunny D. That's not any kind of paid endorsement, to be clear, that's just the truth. Also, I just really like Sunny D.
Number 2, Old Man Logan. Hulk Gang! Okay, so if you don't know, Earth 807-128, even more numbers for you, was home to Hulk Gang. Now, Hulk Gang sounds like a fun time. Hulk Gang is what happens when all the supervillains take over the US. So Bruce Banner is like, hey, you know, we have some crazy similar powers, we need backup, you're the only person I can kind of mate with. What do you say? And Jennifer Walters agreed to go through with it, and it wasn't long before Hulk Gang came along. This version of Jennifer Walters is super powerful. Her, Daredevil, and Moon Knight are amongst like one of the few remaining soups. She kicked Wolverine Old Man Logan Giant Size issue 1. Go check it out right now. And finally, number 1, Lyra. I feel like I have to say it with an accent, Lyra. Taking place on Earth 8009, beginning with Hulk Raging Thunder issue 1, we find Lyra Walters, or sometimes referred to as Savage She-Hulk, is the daughter of Thundra and Earth 616 Hulk. Yeah, so she's from Earth 8009 in the 23rd century, and at that time the Earth was split into different factions. So the guys faction were like warriors, you know, like they looked up to past heroes like Wolverine, just men, you know. And then the women came together under the United Sisterhood Republic, and they were outgunned and outmanned, literally. So Thundra got sent to Earth 616, where she met that Earth's Hulk, had the baby, and Lyra actually gets stronger when she's calm too, which is Cool. It kind of reminds me of my mom. Whenever she was quiet and still, I knew I was in some trouble. So she's able to tap into gamma sight, which means she basically can see the flow of gamma radiation. She's one with the gamma. And like all over the world too, not just within her sight range. So she becomes a smarter, smoother fighter in this state. And if she becomes angry, however, she will actually become weaker. But even at her weakest though, she's still as strong as Spider-Man, so come on.
So, alright, y'all know we on our way up out of here. Thanks for tuning in to Team DWC presents Spider Pig. Y'all make sure y'all check out the links in the description. And always hit the buy me a coffee so y'all can help support the channel. Sign up or donate, whichever one y'all want to do. That's on y'all.
From a web. No, we can't. He's a pig. Look out. He is a spider pig. Spider pig. Spider pig. Does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, we can't. He's...
And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fresh Air Podcast. It's okay, ladies. You can stare at the screen now. We're back. Welcome to the Fresh Air Podcast After Hours Edition, guys. We're joined with 8